Hello, I'm Tupper. I'm the head of community for VRChat. These are the video patch notes for VRChat 2023.2.1. So this update brought a few new features to VRChat and yet another big hunk of bug fixes and quality of life improvements. Let's get started. Our first feature is native eye tracking. We've introduced eye tracking support for the Quest Pro when you're running in VRChat natively, and added OSC endpoints for people who want to integrate their own eye tracking solution. On the Quest Pro, when you launch VRChat, you'll be prompted to enable permissions for VRChat to use your eye tracking data. Once you set that permission, you'll be able to use eye tracking in VRChat. Since most VRChat avatars have simulated eye movement already built in, you should have eye tracking and blinking out of the box. If you're using other eye tracking hardware, then you can use OSC to push tracking data into VRChat. If you're not really the programming type, you can check with other users to see if someone has created a helper program to push that data from the hardware that you're using for VRChat. We've also added a bunch of settings to control eye tracking, which you can find in the IK and tracking section of the main menu. We've also overhauled the settings menu overall, just with a new look and better organization. Our toggles and options are in way more sensible locations now and have a consistent look and feel. Finally, Avatar app downloads are now prioritized in file size order, meaning that you load the smallest avatars first by file size before the bigger ones. That should basically result in faster avatar loading, especially on slower internet connections. Our dev update from March 2nd has a lot more info on the system, so again, check the description for the link to read more. So, moving on to improvements. Our first improvement in this patch is the addition of a launch option to disable hardware video decoding. This tells VRChat to use your processor to decode the video in video players instead of using your graphics card. This can help with a few different issues. It's primarily useful for those of you that are using AMD graphics cards. Some of these cards have issues with decoding video in VRChat. Using this option will result in a slight increase of CPU usage, but may resolve problems that AMD drivers have been having for the past few years with video players. The focus ring on the camera will now fade to gray after a moment so you can see what's behind it more easily. And the final improvement is that the two-factor authentication panel will now auto-select the text input field when it appears. You've enabled 2FA, right? Now into fixes. Like last time, there's a lot of them. I'm only really covering some of them here, but there's lots more that you can see by visiting the link, again, in the description. I guess it's that way. Whatever. The Here tab in the menu now refreshes your current location when you switch instances. Previously, it would display data from instances that you left a while ago. Nameplates no longer float way too high above some avatars. This was a long-time bug, and we finally figured out why. Apparently, it was caused by skinned mesh renderers that didn't have a root bone. The more you know. Pressing the emergency avatar shortcut on your keyboard no longer triggers when you're just trying to type into a text field. MSAA no longer incorrectly displays off on fresh installs of VRChat, despite it actually being set to 4x. We refixed the camera UI scrolling bug. Fingers crossed we don't have to refix it. There's also a few important changes for creators regarding Udon. Please check the patch notes for more details. These are pretty big but fairly technical things. That's it for the video patch notes. As usual, check the description for the full patch notes. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.